Alright guys, Guild Wars 3, a game that I can't wait to play and I can't wait to learn more about as well. I have been having an absolute blast playing Guild Wars 2. If you have been following this channel for a while, you know that I mainly make World of Warcraft content, but I did step foot into Guild Wars 2 late last year, so I'm kind of new into the whole Guild Wars scene, but honestly, I love the game, I love the lore, and I can't wait to see what Guild Wars 3 has in store for us as well, and hopefully it can just take me away from WoW for a bit. We'll see though. So this right here is a video by the Lazy Peon on Guild Wars 3 as well, and the title is Guild Wars 3 could be the next big MMO, but let's find out, shall we?
As MMO fans, we've had a very rough couple of years. We've had cancellations, games that failed to live up to the hype, as well as promising MMOs ruined by their monetization.
It just went away. Give me 1 second to fix this. If I do this, it will bring it back, right? Yeah, there we go. Alright. Yeah, it's been a rough year, man, to play MMOs right now. Like, Ashes of Creation basically died before it ever came out in the first place, so that kinda sucks. And then we also had New World with the shutdown as well. And it's like, anytime you announce that your game is shutting down, people are just gonna stop playing, because nobody wants to invest time into a world where, like, MMOs take a bunch of time, and you want to know that your time investment will pay off long term, and it's not something you play for the fun in the moment. I mean, sometimes you do, but for the most part, you just want to know that what you're doing right now, you should just get some, like, ROI, return on investment. It's time investment for fun later down the line, plus fun right now.
It's all become very tiring, but one thing has persisted and even grown stronger through all of this, and that's people's appreciation for the MMOs that do consistently show up and deliver quality updates over multiple years. MMOs that respect the time of the player, understand the player base, and genuinely try to build a world that players can escape to for a decade or even longer. Guild Wars 2 has without a doubt been one of those beloved games ever since it was released back in 2012, which is why Guild Wars 3 has been such a...
It's kind of insane how we're getting Guild Wars 3 before WoW 2. Because I feel like WoW needs a hard reset right now, especially retail WoW, and Guild Wars 2 came out in 2012, and they are now doing Guild Wars 3. WoW came out in 2004, I believe, and it's still going, and we don't have WoW 2 yet. I feel like we just need to have a new engine in WoW, and a new infrastructure, and also lore-wise a hard reset as well. Guild Wars 3 before WoW 2, I would not have guessed.
A highly anticipated announcement ever since rumors started circulating about its development since early 2024. And on June 5th, 2026, Guild Wars 3 was officially announced by ArenaNet.
Dude, I can't even begin to understand how people who are like super Guild Wars fans felt about this announcement, because like I just said, I started playing Guild Wars late last year, so I'm new to the Guild Wars scene. I'm not like a veteran, I'm one of those new fans of Guild Wars. I watched this and I got chills. Actual chills. I was just wowed. So I can't even begin to imagine how people who have been playing Guild Wars 2 for years and maybe have been dreaming about Guild Wars 3, I can't even begin to understand how they feel, because this was a moment, for sure.
During the Summer Games Fest, and honestly I was quite surprised, because up to this point the general consensus was that if Guild Wars 3 was in development, then it'd be super early concept stages and we probably wouldn't see it until 2030. However, the announcement trailer slates fall 2027 for when the first beta test is scheduled. The announcement trailer even came with,
which probably means release could be late 2028, right?
Some in-engine footage, so not only was it confirmed, but it also seems further along in development than we had imagined. In this video, I'll talk about everything we know about Guild Wars 3 so far, as well as give you my own thoughts and potential concerns after some of the info that's came out. But before we begin, please support the content by listening to today's sponsor. Throne and Liberty just dropped The Frozen Divide, and if you haven't logged in for a while, now...
Yo, I feel like whenever So these guys do an update, they just sponsor everyone, or I'm just watching everyone who's being sponsored, because like, now he talks about Throne and Liberty. Yesterday I watched Saryu and Annie on Twitch play Throne and Liberty as well, with some other people as well, and they just like, they usually play WoW, and then out of nowhere, for the first time in like half a year, they play Throne, and it's a sponsored stream, and they're probably gonna play it for like a day or two, and then never play it again until next sponsored segment. Not saying that's bad. I'm just... Everyone is getting sponsored by Throne.
Is a good time to change that. This update adds Nyx, a frozen tundra region packed with 25-player triggered field events that you can glide across using the Aether suits. It's a proper new area to get lost in. The item system has also been overhauled. Progression now focuses on chasing stronger gear rather than endlessly upgrading what you already have, which makes the grind feel a lot more rewarding. The level cap has been pushed to 60 as well, so veteran players have something new to actually work towards. There's also a brand new weapon class, the Gauntlets, which can switch between an offensive damage mode and a defensive tank mode, 2 roles in one weapon. For PvP fans, Remnants of Nyx is an extraction style mode where you can drop in with up to 4 players, gather rewards and have to make it out alive to keep them. On the PvE side, 2 new endgame co-op dungeons.
Is that like Extraction, basically, but in Throne?
Have been added: Stonegrave Cradle and Frostbreath Cave. Elite enemies across Silesium have also been replaced with tougher variants that drop better rewards, so even the open world has more bite to it. Check it out using my link in the description. Back to Guild Wars 3, and I just want to say it's so nice that I get to make a video where I can talk about some good news for once. And it seems like the overall reaction from the MMO community towards the Guild Wars 3 announcement has been overwhelmingly positive. This isn't the usual blind hype-fueled hopium. It's optimism and excitement that one of the biggest MMO devs with a great track record is taking a swing at a new game. People are hyped for Guild Wars 3 for the same reason why people are hyped for the Riot MMO. Even though we don't know too much about the game, we trust that the people behind it will be able to make something worth playing. So what exactly do we know about Guild Wars 3 so far? Well, the game's set over 1,000 years before the events of the original Guild Wars, so this is a prequel. It takes place in the Tyrian region of Or, which long-term Guild Wars fans will know is a region absolutely dripping in lore and magic. You play as a Veil Warden, which is basically a guardian of the land tasked with protecting these nature spirits called Veil Spirits. And rival guilds are in conflict over whether to protect or exploit the magic of Or. In a follow-up dev diary on June 11th, ArenaNet went deeper into the setting. This version of Or is set during what they call the Golden Age. The human gods are still actively present in the world, which is a huge deal for lore fans, because the gods abandoning Tyria is one of the most significant events in Guild Wars history. It's set before the First Guild War, which is the actual conflict that the entire franchise is named after, so we could potentially witness the origins of the Guild Wars themselves. ArenaNet also said that the story starts from a much more grounded place. It's about people and a guild trying to find their place in the world, rather than another world-ending dragon threat from day one, which honestly sounds refreshing after how escalated Guild Wars 2's story got towards the end. One of the biggest new features ArenaNet are pushing for Guild Wars 3 is a momentum-based movement system. The game director described it as the joy of movement, and the way it works is that you can run.
This right here sounds really cool, by the way, I will say. This whole joy of movement thing, if this is done correctly, it can be very different from what we have right now in MMOs, which would be a breath of fresh air. And I mean, it could be a way to stand out as well.
Glide, leap, wall run, even glide, and your speed
The wall running sounds so cool, man.
Carries over between these different movement modes, so you can build up momentum, then transfer that into more damage when you eventually get into combat. On paper, this sounds really...
I kind of hope this right here becomes a mastery where you have to either unlock it by doing certain things, or you have to like choose between what do you want to do. Like, do you want to wall run? Do you want to jump super high? Do you want to run super fast? Like, choosing something you want to master and going with that, for example. That could be really interesting as well. But I mean, we'll see what they end up doing.
really cool, and we already know from Guild Wars 2 that ArenaNet has the most fun mount movement system in the entire MMO genre.
Yeah.
It seems like they're trying to do...
I mean, they have such a good mount system that WoW basically copied their mount system, because like we have dragon riding now in WoW, which I think is heavily borrowed or inspired by the mount system they had in Guild Wars.
Something to revolutionize your actual character movement, just like they did with mounts. And this is also going to translate directly into the combat feeling more unique too, from the way they've described it. When it comes to mounts, every player gets something called a Seeker, which is like this wolf spirit mount that connects you to the world of Ore. You can see it in the trailer, and it kind of reminded me of the Guild Wars 2 Warclaw mount that you get from World vs. World. Given how beloved the Guild Wars 2 mount system is, I'd also expect the mounts in Guild Wars 3 to also have top tier animations, lots of cosmetics, and perhaps have some unique interactions in the world. In terms of playable races, Guild Wars 3 will likely be a bit different to Guild Wars 1 and 2 due to the game taking place 1,000 years prior. We'll obviously have humans, Asura seem likely since they're in the concept art, but the big one is that Kodan could be a playable race. These are the big bear people from Guild Wars 2. They've never been playable before. The community have been begging for them for years, and we can see them in the trailer. If there was ever a time to add them as a playable race, this would be it. Char seem unlikely as a race to make it into Guild Wars 3 because during the time the game's set in, they're still at war with the humans. Sylvari haven't even been born yet, so they probably won't make it in. And other potential playable races could include the Dwarves and Tengu, as it makes sense timeline and lore-wise, but this is all just speculation. When it comes to business model, Guild Wars has long had this motto of buy once, play forever. And it seems like Guild Wars 3 will be no different. In an interview with IGN,
I really do like the way they monetize Guild Wars, and I will say for me, if it had a monthly sub, I probably would not have tried it when I tried it, because like when I tried it, it was just because I was bored in WoW. Didn't really have any like major reason to log into WoW, but I feel like if I had to both pay for Guild Wars and also pay a monthly sub, I probably would not have played. And the main reason that I tried it out is I think it either was a free weekend or a free, like, you could play for free for a while, and then you could decide what expansion you want to play, and just purchase one of them, and they were on, like, super cheap offers. I just bought the ones that were cheap, right? And because you don't have to pay a monthly sub, it just makes sense for me. It's a game that I can play whenever I don't have any other obligations to play any other games. So WoW, for example, is always fun to play when there's a new patch out, when there's a new raid coming, or Palworld as well when there's a new patch coming out, right? But sometimes you're just like in this lull period in the games you play, and you have time to play something else. But if you have to pay a monthly sub and a $40 box price, suddenly you're just less interested in trying things out. So Guild Wars to me just had such a low barrier to entry for trying it out, and once I got to the point of trying it out, I kind of fell in love. So I'm really happy that they have such a low barrier to entry, because that allowed me to give it a try in the first place.
Colin said there will be no subscription and no battle passes, and that play...
Thank you. Like, battle passes in MMORPGs are so cringe. Arcade tried to have it once, and it was just so bad. So bad, so abusable, so exploitable, and just felt so trash to have in an MMORPG as well. Keep battle passes for, like, battle royale stuff.
Players are sick of battle passes, which is 100% true. Personally, I'd expect the monetization of Guild Wars 3 to be similar to Guild Wars 2, which is considered to have one of the most fair business models in the entire MMO genre. It doesn't print cash like some of NCSoft's other more aggressive short-term titles, but it consistently pulls in around $60 to $70 million a year, which has made it one of the most stable revenue generators in NCSoft's entire portfolio. Basically proof that you can make good money without screwing over your players. If only NCSoft took this approach with all of their games. As for platforms, Guild Wars 3 is coming to PC, Steam, and PlayStation 5, which is the first time a Guild Wars game has ever been on console, and honestly, this is where my biggest concern comes in. They're calling it an action-adventure MMORPG and describing the combat as emphasizing strategic skill use, positioning and movement where action RPG combat meets Guild Wars build making. Collins said the combat has been designed from the ground up to...
I really hope it's not super ARPG combat style, because I'm not a big fan of ARPG combat style. But yeah, hopefully they find a good middle ground. We'll see though.
Feel great on both controller and mouse and keyboard. Now, that's a nice thing to say, and we've heard similar promises time and time again. Yeah. But historically, when an MMO tries to cater to both PC and console, what usually happens is neither feels amazing. In fact, I can't think of a single console PC crossplay MMO that has truly exceptional combat. I think New World was probably the best we've seen, but even that had a lot of issues. With the combat needing to work on controller, it likely means fewer skills, more action-oriented gameplay, and probably some kind of target lock. Beyond just the combat itself, I'd also expect the compromise to extend to the scale of the game. Cross-platform console MMO action...
That is usually my biggest problem or concern as well when it comes to a game being made for both PC and for controller. It usually seems like whenever I play on keyboard, I'm used to having a lot of options and a lot of buttons to press. When a game is made for controller usage, you generally just have less buttons and less ways of optimizing, I guess. It's just like simplified because they have less like potential combinations of buttons to press. Meanwhile, on a keyboard and a mouse, you can just press endless amounts of buttons, basically. So whenever a game is both for console and for mouse and keyboard, I feel like it's more for console. It's just like, it's made for console, but you can play it on mouse and keyboard, but it's made for console. It's usually not made for both. It's made for one or the other, and the one that is not made for can still play it, if that makes sense.
Combat only kind of works in small fights. Once you start adding too many players on screen, you run into player collision issues, desync, and the whole thing just starts falling apart like we saw with New World during territory wars. So I'm not just capping my expectations on the combat being maybe a 7 out of 10 at best, but I'm also expecting Guild Wars 3 to be more of an MMO light rather than massively multiplayer. Okay. And this was actually backed up by the Aeon 2 producer, who in an interview said there's a directional difference between the two games. That Aeon 2 focuses more on massive numbers of players, where the more users, the more fun, whereas Guild Wars 3 is more about segments of small groups playing that makes the gameplay more fun. So it seems like even other developers in the space are aware that Guild Wars 3 is going for a more smaller scale experience, which to me further suggests that it's going to lean more MMO light rather than traditional MMO. I hope I'm wrong, of course, but honestly this does seem like the direction that the genre is heading in general. Both Arcade Chronicles and Chrono Odyssey describe their combat systems in a very similar way, and
which I'm so sad about, by the way, because I think Arcade was one of the best games of all time, and I was so hyped for Arcade 2 or Arcade Chronicles. I still kind of am, but I feel like the ARPG aspect of it has, it's made my hype go down significantly.
Both are scaling down the massively multiplayer side in favor of more MMO-light experiences to accommodate console releases. I do get why they do it though. MMOs are incredibly expensive to make and developers need as many players as possible for the product to be financially viable. So opening up to console just makes sense, even if it comes with compromises. Of course, ArenaNet could be the exception here and figure out something special that doesn't require those compromises. but I'd rather remain cautiously optimistic on this point, rather than expecting them to do something that's literally never been done before. As for an estimated release date, Guild Wars 3's beta is scheduled for fall 2027, so we've got well over a year before we can even get our hands on it. And a full release probably not happening until 2028 at the earliest. When it comes to the wider Guild Wars franchise though, ArenaNet have confirmed they're committed to developing all 3 Guild Wars games simultaneously. Guild Wars 1 is being actively developed under a separate game director with its own dedicated team. As for Guild Wars 2, game director Josh Davis said there won't be a new expansion for the next 18 months, but there will be quality of life updates, a new World vs. World Borderlands map, which is actually the first World vs. World map in years, and a large-scale modernization pass where they're going to spend nearly a full year going back through each era of Guild Wars 2's content and bringing the older stuff up to current standards. They're also building a Hall of Monuments 2.0 system which will let you carry over your Guild Wars 2 achievements into Guild Wars 3, which is a really nice touch for veteran players and also a reason to go play Guild Wars 2 prior to the Guild Wars 3 release. And they're also making a new open world map set in ore which will serve as a free narrative bridge between the 2 games. In a follow-up livestream on June 9th, Davis also confirmed that the Guild Wars 2 team is not being moved over to work on Guild Wars 3. They have separate internal studios, and that after Guild Wars 3 ships, they will return to full annual expansions for Guild Wars 2, so it's not being...
That's actually kind of cool. So they are developing both, and it's not like Guild Wars 2 development is being slowed down significantly with Guild Wars 3. It sounds like they're gonna keep doing expansions and everything. It's not like the Blizzard approach where they tell us they're gonna keep doing stuff and they just like do the absolute bare minimum, hopefully.
Abandoned. Honestly, the reason why I haven't played too much Guild Wars 2 in the past few years is that since the Guild Wars 3 rumors started, I actually assumed it would be abandoned, or at the very least not receive any more expansions. With ArenaNet directly saying that they're going to keep updating it, I certainly feel more inclined to jump back in and keep playing. But here's the thing that caught my attention though. Colin said during the announcement video that all 3 games will share the world of Tyria. They are intentionally very different in design, in experience, and where they sit on the timeline. On the surface, this sounds great. 3 games, all supported and all different. But if you read between the lines, intentionally very different in design could mean that fan favorite features from Guild Wars 2 like World vs. World, the massively multiplayer map meta events, or even structured PvP won't make it into Guild Wars 3 because ArenaNet doesn't want the games competing with each other. That's my concern anyway, and
That's actually a valid point. That's a valid point, worth considering.
I hope I'm wrong, because Guild Wars 2 has some amazing features that I don't want left out of Guild Wars 3 just because they want to keep supporting the old game. I hope that supporting the old games doesn't hinder the potential of the new one, if that makes sense. Hey, Editing Peon here. Whilst this video was being edited, ArenaNet dropped a new blog post on June 16th, where Colin basically laid out the core philosophy behind Guild Wars 3, and it pretty much confirmed everything that I was concerned about. He described Guild Wars 3 as sitting near the middle of the MMO spectrum between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 1 being the small-scale instanced end, and Guild Wars 2 being the giant-scale open-world massive battles end. And he specifically said that Guild Wars 3 doesn't try to replicate the large-scale gameplay pillars that so uniquely define Guild Wars 2. And the reason he gave is exactly as I thought. He said, this ensures that all 3 of our games can coexist as different experiences. So yeah, it does seem like Guild Wars 3 is going to be a deliberately smaller scale game than Guild Wars 2, and they are intentionally keeping features separate across the 3 games so they don't compete with each other, which is both understandable but also disappointing if you was...
This is like both a good and a bad thing, I guess, depending on the point of view you have on this. I feel like maybe this means they're going more into the ARPG thing and less into the RPG element, I guess. Just focusing more on... Oh my days, I'm actually in trouble. I'm playing some Season of Discovery in the background, grinding some mobs and stuff, and not exactly sure how I happened to summon a bunch of spiders. I do hate spiders in general. Let's just see if I can get out of here. Might actually be cooked.
Hoping for a modern version of Guild Wars 2 like I was. On a more positive note, he also doubled down on the business model, no subscription, no battle pass, as well as confirming the stance on no pay to win. I'd say this recent info has dropped my hype levels down from a 7 out of 10 to a 5 or a 6 out of 10.
No!
Obviously, we'll have to wait and see the specific.
Don't say that, man. I don't need another Arcade Chronicles. I want a game to be hyped about. Take it back. Take it back now.
Of what multiplayer features do make it into the game, but it does kind of seem like a game that's being made for a different audience. Overall, I'm happy to see Guild Wars 3 announced. The most interesting aspect to me sounds like the movement system and how it ties into the combat, and I think my enjoyment of the game rests entirely on ArenaNet's ability to make a fun action combat system, considering it's likely not going to have any of my favourite features from Guild Wars 2. It seems like the future of MMORPGs is innovation by dropping the first M and going console crossplay, because we appear to have lost the technology and willpower to make anything that requires more than 5 to 10 players. Honestly, I really just wanted a modern version of Guild Wars 2 because that game engine...
Same. That's what I want as well, a more modernized version of Guild Wars 2. With slightly different graphics, because like whenever I play Guild Wars right now, I like Guild Wars 2, but whenever I play it, I can always feel that it's slightly outdated, you know? So I wanted Guild Wars 3 to fix that and make it feel slightly less outdated, if that makes sense. Which seems like maybe that's not going to be happening now, and that's kind of makes me sad.
Is like 20 years old at this point. Maybe the MMO light fears aren't as bad as I'm worried they will be, but at this point, I've got PTSD from games using the term MMORPG purely for marketing, then quietly dropping it altogether as it gets closer to a release. Either way, I guess we'll find out in full 2027 when we finally get the chance to play it. But that's it for this video. As always, let me know your thoughts on Guild Wars 3 in the comments below. And what would you specifically like to see from Guild Wars 3 that differentiates it from the previous games? Help us out with a like if you enjoyed the vid, and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with Guild Wars 3 and the MMO genre as a whole. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Alright, there we go. I cannot wait to see what Guild Wars 3 ends up being like, but if it's gonna take the same turn as Arcade Chronicles, where they focus more on the ARPG or the single-player experience, and less on the MMO aspect, I'm in the same boat as Lazy Peon here, where that kind of reduces my hype. Significantly so as well. So we just have to wait and see. I really want to get into the beta, but even that is like a year away. Even if they do go into the whole console thing, it can still be a really good game. And yeah, I'm just gonna approach this one with cautious optimism and be hopeful. That's all I can really do, right? Be hopeful. And we'll see if it's a game for me or not. Because, like, chances are they do something and someone's gonna love it. And maybe it's like either you like it or you don't. They're not gonna satisfy everyone. So we'll see if it ends up being a game that I want to play. I just hope it's a Guild Wars 2, but better. So, like, just, yeah, I like MMORPGs. I want to play a game like WoW, like Guild Wars, like Arcade. I just want it to be more modernized, more recent than it currently is. Either way, that's it. Thank you guys for checking out me, checking out the Lazy Peon here. Let me know if you agree with what I've said or what he's said in the comments down below. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.